In July last year, the BBC announced that they had cast Jodie Whittaker in the role of the 13th Doctor. The change met a set of mixed criticism. Some people thought it was about time, and others were dead set against it. I'm one of those people, but not for the reasons that you're probably thinking why. I'm just going to ask, please don't hate on this video until you've watched it, because there is a reason for my own feelings towards it, and it isn't because I hate women or that I don't believe transgenderism isn't allowed in Doctor Who. It's a little deeper than that. Here are some of the reactions from people who reacted badly to the fact that the Doctor was a woman. So some people were saying that Jodie Whittaker ruined Doctor Who by taking the role. I really don't agree with that. I think if you're an actor or actress and you're offered the role of the Doctor, do you really want to turn it down? I think it's very harsh to critique Jodie Whittaker for accepting a role just because they don't like the idea of the Doctor being a woman. I think that's totally wrong, and you can't sit there and say, "What? Why would you do that, Jodie?" At the end of the day, she just did what everyone would have done in her position. She didn't ruin the show. We've not even seen her play the part yet, so we can't even judge Jodie Whittaker. So we need to take her out of the equation for this to be a fair argument. The other thing that I've heard is that the Doctor can't be a female because he's always been male. That isn't actually the truth. The Doctor can be a female, even though he's always been male. That rule has been set by Stephen Moffat throughout all of Peter Capaldi's series. There's been a nod towards the fact that the Time Lords can change gender. The first real risque moment was when Missy revealed that she was in fact the Master, which took everyone by storm. There was an absolute uproar as to whether Missy could be the Master if she was a woman. There was a lot of discussion about that, and it met, again, just like the Doctor being female, it met a lot of mixed reviews, and quite frankly, I didn't really like it at the time, but after having thought about it, I actually really like the idea, which I'll explain a little bit later on in the video. But the Doctor can be a female even though he's always been a male, because it is totally possible, because we've seen Time Lords regenerate from male to female before, so that isn't really a valid argument. The final terribly invalid argument that is made is that people need a male role model more than they need a female role model. Look, a role model is a role model. It doesn't matter what gender they are, what they stand for is the important part. So the idea that the people don't need a female role model is completely stupid. So I'm not hating on the fact that there's a female Doctor because of role models or anything to do with that. While I disagree with all the arguments that I've just presented to you about the fact that the female Doctor is a negative choice, I don't totally agree with the idea of the Doctor being a woman. Most people seem to believe that the choice to make the Doctor female has been a politically correct one, and I've even heard someone say to me that it's about time we had some girl power. But in my opinion, this decision insults women more than it does glorify them. While I understand that people who think this think it because a female is getting the chance to do something a male has already done, therein lies the problem. Girl power is all about the idea that women don't need no man to do that. But the whole point of a female playing the Doctor glorifying females is because women are allowed to do something men have done. That in itself says that if you believe that the female Doctor is glorifying women, you believe that a female needs to do something a man has done before they can be a strong character. And I totally disagree with that. There are many great strong female characters within media that didn't have to do something that a man's already done to prove that they have girl power. Just look at Daenerys Stormborn from Game of Thrones. She's a very strong character and she still maintains her femininity, which is something that is going to be interesting with the Doctor Who in the future, because the producers now have the job of creating a character that was male and is female and is still a strong character without insulting females by saying that for a female to be strong, they have to be a male character with a female face plastered onto them. That's totally wrong, and in my opinion, it's just a terrible decision based on that alone. But my main reasoning is because of the story. Because I don't think the story ever dictated that there needs to be a female Doctor. And I don't mean this in a way that there shouldn't be a female Doctor. because females are females and males are males. I mean this in a way because the Doctor has never really cared about what gender he is. And he also has had the ability to choose what face he takes on in his next incarnation. That might sound a little bit outlandish and weird to some people, but it has already been proven several times throughout the history of Doctor Who that the Doctor chooses what his appearance is. For example, we first saw this in the episode War Games, where the Doctor is put on trial by the Time Lords and given a collection of different faces that he needed to choose to become because they were going to get him to regenerate. Another example is when Romana 1 regenerated into Romana 2. She took on the appearance of the character called Princess Astra, someone they had met in the previous episode, and she tried it on, spoke to the Doctor about what he thought, and basically said that she chose to wear that. He said, try out a few different looks before you finish on that one. So essentially, this proves that Time Lords can choose what they look like. But then the final piece of my evidence here is that within the girl who died, the Doctor remembers that he subconsciously chose to look like Caecilius, a character in the Fires of Pompeii whom he had saved, and he chose to look like that to remind himself that he is the Doctor and he saves people no matter what the consequences are. So therefore, there is proof that the Doctor chooses what he looks like, and this is where the problem lies. This would mean that the Doctor has chosen to become a woman. But why would the Doctor choose that? Not because he's against women, but being a male has always been the norm for the Doctor, and he's never shown any sign of really wanting to be anything other than male. Because being male is quite normal to him, I don't see why he'd make the choice to make the change into a female. He is a bit kooky and a bit weird, and maybe he would have made that decision on a whim, but I think this is a pretty big decision to make on a whim. He's thinking about changing everything that he knows about his own body, and it just seems a bit too outlandish to me. If throughout the series the Doctor had always struggled within his own body and always wondered whether he should have been a woman, and then made the change, I'd have probably accepted it a bit more, but I don't think this is the type of show to do that anyway. So unfortunately, I believe that the choice to make the Doctor a female wasn't a good enough decision when it comes to the story department. It was mainly a marketing choice, and that was really the problem that I had with it. Now, I spoke earlier about how I can now buy that the Master would want to turn into a woman. For the Master, it would have been more of a strategic choice to turn into a woman, because at the end of the day, it cannot be denied that the female form can be used to manipulate males. Therefore, I believe that the Master may have made that change because he wanted to be able to manipulate people a lot easier. Just need to back up that I don't mean that women all manipulate men. I mean that it has been proven in the past that women can manipulate men with their bodies. Not saying they should, so please hold the hate. Time Lords can regenerate into a male or a female, and they also get the choice as to what they look like. So that's why I can totally understand why the Master would want to turn. But I just can't understand what reason the Doctor would have to turn into a woman. Now, this could have been remedied in a different episode of Doctor Who. If, for instance, Matt Smith's Doctor in Time of the Doctor had turned into a female Time Lord, it would have been believable because the Time Lords gave the Doctor another wave of regenerations, and there's no saying that he may or may not be able to control said regenerations. I think because that was meant to be such a big change in the ruling of the show, and it was such a change in the way that the Doctor had always understood things, that would have been a more realistic time to introduce a female Doctor. Although, that being said, I believe the story to give the Doctor another wave of regenerations was done a little bit too early, and it might have had to have been Peter Capaldi who really should have taken that story on, which meant that eventually Jodie Whittaker would have taken the role in a more perceivable manner, and it's a shame that they writers didn't actually hold on to this idea and didn't think actually there's got to be a reason for what we do, and we don't want to just do it because we want to make people talk about Doctor Who, because come on, enough people are talking about Doctor Who as it is. So in detail, that is why I believe that the Doctor should have remained a male or changed into a female after Matt Smith. I don't believe that people being sexist about whether a female can do the role is correct. I think, in fact, you should give Jodie Whittaker a chance. I just think it's a shame that the writers didn't do it in a way that I perceive possible. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Please hit the subscribe button and like this video if you like what I had to say, or dislike the video if you didn't. Just drop me a comment below what you think of my views. Did I miss out on anything? Am I just completely ridiculous? Just let me know. I'd love to hear it in the discussion below. This is an open discussion video. But thank you for watching the video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.